Hello, everyone. In today's lesson, we're going to focus on writing a counterclaim for your thematic essay on pandemics. Now, the LEQ is as follows. How does writing a counterclaim paragraph provide perspective when producing a thematic essay? First, let's go over exactly what is a counterclaim. Counterclaim in context. When writing a thematic essay, it is an important feature to produce a counterargument to your thesis statement. The counterclaim is generally an opposing or alternative viewpoint regarding the position taken in your thesis statement. The counterclaim provides evidence that the writer of a thematic essay is able to analyze different perspectives when looking at historical information. Now, before we get to this lesson, first thing to remember, if you did not complete the bubble map relating to the impact of pandemics, do not look at this video. If you did not look at the video lesson and instructions relating to the introduction paragraph, don't look at this video. If you did not look at the lesson relating to the second paragraph of an essay, do not look at this video because this video focuses on the third paragraph, which is the counterclaim paragraph. Now, in terms of the counterclaim, the same information that was provided in the historical thinking packet, which includes all the reading articles and all the videos, still apply. The same thing that you did for the second paragraph of an essay, you do in this paragraph. The only difference is instead of finding a source or set of sources that supports your thesis statement, you're going to find a set of sources that goes against your thesis statement. Thus, that's why it's called the counterclaim or opposing claim, opposing or alternative viewpoint. Now, with the same setup for the second paragraph, you're going to state the position of an information source, but the only difference is that information source goes against your position. Now, in my model, when I showed you how to write a second paragraph, I took the position that things were for the better, that the struggle to deal with pandemics actually made our society better. We improved upon it. And I gave you the demo on how to create the actual sentence. So we're going to do the same thing here, but the focus is going to be on a source that goes against the position of things were better as a result of our dealing with pandemics. So if we go back to the historical thinking packet, let's look at the source relating to different perspectives. Now, in this lesson, we saw a video relating to the Spanish flu cover up. Okay. And we learned from that video, and I'm not going to play the video, that many countries in World War I actually hid the fact that the Spanish flu was a major pandemic. They did not tell the public in their respective countries that this was a major problem and this was going to become a major pandemic. In fact, the reason that the Spanish flu was called the Spanish flu was because Spain was the only country that was honest enough to report about it. So this information about the Spanish flu cover-up provides an example of how pandemics have made our society worse. So in terms of using this information, I would state in lesson 2 of the historical packet, we learned about the Spanish flu cover-up, period. In that lesson, we learned that certain countries during World War II did not want their public to know about the Spanish flu, period. Stand corrected, it was World War One. World War One. Let me just fix that. Always correct your grammar before you continue. Okay. Now, here is where you would cite sources, evidence from that. Now this is where I would play the video to look for information regarding this. I'm going to forward the video back and forth because we went over this as a group.
The 1918 flu epidemic, also known as the Great Flu Epidemic or the Spanish flu, is considered the worst global pandemic in history, as it concentrated a high mortality in a short period of time. It's estimated that the mortality rate of the pandemic was between 10 and 20%, and that it killed between 50 and 100 million people worldwide. In Spain, the number of deaths is estimated at around 300,000. Unlike other flu epidemics that primarily affect children and the elderly, many of its victims were healthy young people and adults in their 20s and 40s, as well as animals, such as dogs and cats.
So even before looking further to talk about the cover-up, that information right there would be a good argument to add to the counterclaim. So I would put, in the video provided in lesson 2, we learned that about 50 to 100 million people probably died as a result of the Spanish flu, period. We also learned that, unlike most pandemics in the past, the Spanish flu primarily affected young people, period. So there. Always remember to, when you're voice typing, to go to silence when you're done talking. So there I provided evidence in the video, and I could quote primarily specifically what was cited, which is follows here. Always put quotation marks in terms of information that you learn. Always cite your sources. Always. So this provides evidence. Now, in terms of explaining the evidence, I will simply go here because the third sentence in this counterclaim argument is explaining your evidence. So that is fact-based. You explain what the cited evidence means. The mere fact that such a large number of people died provides evidence that this pandemic had a major effect on our society, period. Furthermore, when looking at the video, we learned that the countries that covered up the fact that there was a pandemic actually made the situation worse for the entire population, period. So you see, looking at the video, looking at my sources, I'm able to formulate sentences based on the information that is provided. So this is the setup on how you do your counterclaim paragraph. Focus on the arguments that go against your position. Remember, in the second paragraph, I used evidence to support my position that things were for the better. Now in my third paragraph, I'm providing an opposing viewpoint. Okay? Now, going through the other steps, for the fourth sentence, you want to sum up your response, okay, and basically come up with an interpretation of how all this information goes against your thesis statement. And then again, the fifth sentence, as I mentioned in my previous video, is external connections. If you could have information that is outside of the documents, the videos that I provided to show evidence that you have outside information, this is where you would fill it in. Okay, if you have the opportunity, always provide outside evidence when creating a thematic essay. And the final sentence is your summary. You summarize your final thoughts, and if you can include another source, possibly another document or article that supports the counterclaim to your argument, this is where you would do so. And again, you go back into the historical packet, you've looked for the research, and you find information that has an opposing viewpoint. An example for that sentence, I would say, would actually be the last lesson that we did, which was the pandemic's infograph. If we go to this one, this is a list of all the pandemics of the past. So just looking at the different death tolls, for example, okay, from thousands of years ago to now, you see you have 12 million, 1 million, 40 million with the Spanish flu. Okay. All these different deaths, okay, would provide evidence of a counterclaim that there's a lot of catastrophes, horrors relating to pandemics. And that would definitely go against my position, which was the struggle made our society better. So this is how you do your counterclaim argument. We're going to go over this in class, and we'll also discuss this for the remote learners. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you very much.